Hello and namaste. My name is Tim Halloran and this is a weekly astrology forecast for the first week of March 2014. Right now the sun is in Pisces and the moon is in Taurus. Later tonight the moon will enter Gemini, where she will remain through Sunday when she enters Cancer. Today we also have Jupiter turning direct in Cancer, and appropriately it's a perpetual freezing rain outside in Savannah, so I'm recording inside today unusually. And I say appropriately because there is a lot of tension this week happening, and a big part of that is the planetary body Lilith, which I'm going to focus on in this reading. So what's going on right now is we have Lilith entering Leo, Venus entering Aquarius, and the two of them are opposing one another. And they are both square to Mars. And they are also square to the moon's nodes. This is a grand kite formation. It is a formation of a lot of intensity because we are being pulled in 4 different directions. That being said, when we also have squares to the moon's nodes, it is also a period of destiny, of determining our fate, of making decisions and choosing our future paths. So it's really an important time. And I am going to be focusing on Lilith because Lilith, I really see in this as being the determining factor in all of this. And Lilith is not a planetary body that's focused on by a lot of astrologers. She's honestly not an aspect that's even known by a lot of spiritual aspirants, let alone astrologers. So I'm going to be talking a lot about her, talking a lot about the mother, the feminine, and how to use our emotions and our lower chakras, our gut feelings and our instincts to move on our soul path and to really make these decisions that are going to determine who we're going to be hanging around with, our friends, our associations, and the communities that we are now building. So I'll begin with a story. This is the story of Lilith from the Bible. Well, it was sort of taken out. Adam had a first wife who was equal to him, and she is Lilith. Eve was made out of his rib to be inferior. Lilith was also told by Adam that she is inferior to him. The difference between Eve and Lilith is Lilith did not take it. Lilith said, "No, I'm not inferior to you. We're on an equal platform. And the fact that you think that you can dictate who I am and my position, I'm leaving you, and I'm leaving the garden." And this is what Lilith does. She leaves the garden out of spite of Adam's persecution, essentially. This is very symbolic for the age that we now live in. We're coming out of thousands of years of patriarchal orthodoxy rule, where people have been controlled by male-dominated energy. And Lilith is that force, that sub-personality that has been raped, pillaged, completely subdued and beat up by the masculine energy. And it's really interesting because even in history this is what's happened to Lilith. You know, if you talk to a really, traditional Christian, I guess you would say, person, they would tell you that Lilith is a succubus. She's evil, which is really fascinating because if you read the story that I just told to you, how can you possibly come to the conclusion that she is a succubus? It makes no sense at all. In fact, what a succubus would have done in her position probably would have been, "Oh yeah, I'm inferior to you. Here, just let me suck all the life energy out of you like a vampire." But that's not what she does. She says, "No, we're equal, and until you get your shit right, I'm leaving. Until you figure out your stuff and get off of your high horse, I'm waiting outside of the garden." This is Lilith. Everybody has a Lilith in their chart. Everybody has a deep feminine part of themselves that's been suppressed and beat up and shoved under. And because it's been shoved under for so long, we're fearful of it, we're ashamed of it, we don't want it to be a part of ourselves, we feel that it's unclean, we feel that it's taboo, we feel that it's evil and dark and bad. And this is all misunderstanding what she is. She is the mother, she is the feminine. And what she's doing outside of the garden is she's holding space for all of us by basically sitting in the parts of ourselves that we have rejected so far. So how does this play into the transits this week? Well, we have Venus exactly opposite to Lilith now, as Venus enters Aquarius and Lilith enters Leo. Lilith has been in Cancer for the last few months. She has been watery. She has been feeling. She has been introverted. And now she's moving into Leo. It's time for her now to speak her truth. It's time for her now to come into her real being. It's time for her to come into her role. And this is being challenged. It's being challenged by other people. It's being challenged by the communities. It's even being challenged by Mars, the masculine creative force. And we do have a Venus square Mars right now. There is a lot of creative potential. It is tense, but it is always potential. The two of them always go together. When we combine the masculine and the feminine, that's how we have creative potential. If we have too much of one or the other, it leads to an eventual breakdown. And this is what the point is with all of this. With Lilith being aspect the way it is right now, what is going to determine our future, I talked about us choosing paths, making decisions. It all comes down to sincerity and honesty. That is the one factor of determining how Lilith will treat you through time, in yourself, is how honest and sincere you are with her. And this is, not easy. This is, her moving into Leo. There's still so much solar plexus energy. There's so much egos stomping on top of egos. And this is not a problem. Egos stomping on top of each other is a part of soul progress. We shouldn't be afraid to trot on our egos, and to be honest with other people. In fact, that's the determining factor right now. How honest can you be with your feelings, with your gut reactions? Towards other people, towards yourself. So let me explain to you how to best receive Lilith, because we're all going to be receiving Lilith from somebody else. We're going to be hearing parts of ourselves that we don't want to hear about from other people. And in turn, we can be Lilith for other people. We might be pointing out things to other people that are things that they don't want to be hearing about themselves. And it's very good that we are upfront and forward and sincere. It doesn't mean that we have to be mean and nasty about it. But the sooner, the quicker, the easier, the less tense we can just go with the flow with this stuff, the less we're going to fall on our face later on. This does determine where we're going. It does determine who we're going to be hanging out with. This is about who's your real friends, because this is the point. Your real friends should be on an equal vibration to you. Your real friends should actually get who you truly are. Your core, soul, root purpose. This is also Lilith. The only thing with Lilith is she is your core, soul, root purpose that has been frowned upon in the past. So there's all this bitterness and anger in these things. But here's the point. Your real friends aren't going to be saying, oh, you need to change that about yourself. Oh, you should ignore that. The number one thing not to say to Lilith is, oh, you just need to shift your perspective. Oh, don't worry, you'll work it out later. It's not a big deal. This is equivalent to Adam reaching his arm over the fence of the garden, patting Lilith on the head and being just like, oh, Lilith, you just need to change your perspective. It's really great here inside of the garden. Because guess what Lilith is going to say? I'm outside of the garden. I'm standing right here. What are you talking about? Is that what real empathy is? Oh, you should look inside of the garden. You shouldn't be out there. Well, I am here. Lilith is our core truth. And we shouldn't be, it's easy to go stuck in the past here and just bottle it up again and shut up again. And be just like, well, everybody else doesn't understand, so I guess I'll just, conform. This has been going on for thousands of years. And this is about Lilith coming out now. This is a very outward time. All the energy is shifting from introverted to extroverted. We're getting involved with other people. We're getting involved in communities. We're getting involved in building new organizations and structures and these kind of things. Our new identities, our new roles with other people. That's why it's so important that we confront this stuff right now. And this is a time of confrontation. This is a time of expanding, releasing, facing, completing, overcoming, recognizing the patterns of the past that we have been repeating. And we may have been insincere with the repeating of these patterns. Oh, I'm just going to shove it. Oh, I'm just going to shove it. This comes up again, but it's, oh, it's my bad. Oh, it's my bad. Oh, it's my bad. We are made to feel guilty for our own suppressed feminine nature, for whatever reason. And there is so much on Pallas Athena this week, interestingly as well. She's conjunct the part of fortune, trine sextile to the nodes of fate and Mars. We are seeing these patterns. They are apparent to us. And this is really awesome for making our decisions. Oh my gosh, I've been hanging around the wrong people. Oh my gosh, I've been not being understood. Or perhaps there's something I haven't been understanding in myself, and I have been trying to fake it and not being totally sincere in myself. Maybe I've been thinking that things are one way, and now I'm getting introduced to a little bit of reality. And this is taking us into the future. This is taking us into our roles and to our relationships with other people. It's all about expression right now. Lilith entering Leo, Venus entering Aquarius. It's about our own inner brilliance, you know. There are individual truths. We are all each individual eternal spirit souls. Okay, so there are universal truths, and I'm not saying that there isn't. However, there's so often the wanting to just steamroller everything into one truth. Oh, this is it. It's my truth. This is how it works for everybody. Oh, you just need to shift your perspective because from where I'm standing, everything's great. Well, that's awesome, except you are missing out on everybody else's truth because the whole cosmos is so much farther than what you can possibly comprehend. If you think you have it down pat, you're wrong. We have to understand our actual positions. We have to be sincere with what we know and what we don't know. And the way to deal with Lilith is just to be super straightforward and upfront about these things. I'm not perfect. I feel these feelings. I get angry at you sometimes for whatever reason. I feel uncomfortable in this situation because I'm not enlightened. This is a way to move forward. This is a way to do true spiritual work. This is a way of asking for help. And if other people can't give you the help you're looking for, it's time to look in other places. It's time to shift things around. It's a time of a lot of creative tension. So we are using all this tension, what we're satisfied with and what we're not satisfied with. What we're not satisfied with is just as important because it's what's provoking us to make changes. There's a lot of tension incorporated in making changes because things are faulty. There is failure to understand some things, so changes must be rearranged. This is Mars turning retrograde for the next 2 or 3 months. We are making changes with how we see ourselves, our own egos, our own doing, acting, masculine force is in need of revision. And Saturn and Mars going retrograde, it's about time that we reintegrate this ego. And what is the ego in service to? It's in service to our higher self. Our ego is a servant. Our ego is not supposed to be perfect and enlightened and happy all the time. That's not what little me's do. And that's not a problem. Because the spiritual me enjoys everything about what the little me does, whether it be positive or negative or happy or sad. It is all beautiful to the higher self. But the ego should not confuse itself with the higher self. And we should also not be trying to eliminate our egos in order to, merge with the higher self or whatever we're trying to do. It's about integrating these two, yes, because the solar plexus, again, is the foundation on which the heart chakra stands. It is a servant. So we have a full moon on the 16th in Virgo. It's about finding our roles, finding the hierarchy. Who do we report to? What do we serve? What is our highest intention? And the other thing is Virgo is innocence and purity. How innocent and pure are we? We are learning right now. We are seeing what needs to be cleaned up. We are seeing what is working for us. This is Mars conjunct Vesta and the North Node. We want to be these very pure, light, fluffy, angelic beings that we truly are, But if we actually want to get there, we must first admit that we aren't there yet. We have work to do. And guess what makes you more approachable and makes you more attractive and makes you more of a real human being is being sincere with everything you got, including saying, oh, I'm not pure. I'm still working on myself. I feel these things. I get angry. I get upset because I'm a human being and I'm dealing with, guess what? Thousands of years of suppression and karma and generations after generation of misunderstanding and ignorance. Do you really think it's going to be so easy that you read a book and you have some level of understanding and that's it? You figured everything out? No. Let's be real with each other. It doesn't mean that we have to rip each other to shreds. And this is also a time where we can be feeling very, very defensive because it can feel like we're being attacked. But here's the thing. This is all happening on the ego plane. This attacking, whatever, being attacked. This is solar plexus lingo. This is not heart lingo. We should be accepting the criticism of other people because they're letting us know what they're feeling. They're showing us these different perspectives, right? It's not necessarily about us matching one perspective. It's about exploring and experiencing all these different perspectives to give us a better idea of who we are so we can discover our core, eternal, individual soul truth and then embody it and express it and not be afraid. Because guess what? Through trial and error, you learn the truth. You get real wisdom. You get real knowledge. And then you're not afraid of being caught, of being discovered, of being fearful. Oh no, they're going to think I'm a bad person. You don't have to be afraid of those things if you're being sincere and honest. If you're not trying to fake your way to it. If you're just being who you are up front and you're receiving feedback on who you are up front, then you're dealing with yourself directly and there's no complexion and there's no waiting and there's no like, oh, I'm so afraid I'm going to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait to be forward about my fears, to be forward about my emotions, to be forward about the places that I have a difficulty going towards. You will stay in that fear and that depression and that stagnation until you go there. So it is always best to just be upfront, to be honest and be sincere with who you truly are. And don't be afraid to be in conflict with some people because you are seeing this conflict as a positive thing. Conflict is not bad, it is not negative. Conflict means that we love each other and we're working together and we want to work through our stuff. So we're being honest and real with each other. And if I feel something weird in you and you feel something weird in me and we never talk about it, that will always be there blocking off our love for one another. So if you actually want to go closer to the people that you love, if you actually want to be developing in your relationships towards other people, getting closer in our communities, being more loving, compassionate beings, we have to confront these things and remove them directly as soon as possible. And then it's not such a big deal. It's not such a big deal. It's not as scary and black and deadly and taboo as it's been made out to be. So, Lilith is your friend. Discomfort is your friend. It's motivating us to make change. It's motivating us towards creative potential, constructive criticism, not dismantling each other, being constructive with one another. And then we can be sincere. We can then meet on an equal platform when we see through all our differences and find our core truths. Then we can find our inner strengths, our inner capability to really build what we truly are here to build, which is something remarkable. It is going to be something special. Everybody has their own remarkable, special, unique talent. And once we discover this and are forward with it and we're no longer afraid because we know through trial and error, gaining wisdom and knowledge of what it is we are here to do, now we can build our spiritual communities, we can be teachers, now we can share what real love is all about. In the whole spectrum of everything, that is what real love incorporates. So don't put anything away, be real, tap into your mother. Jupiter is going direct today in Cancer. The Guru is in Cancer. It's through your feelings that you are receiving wisdom and intuition, and you are being told where to go on your soul path. So trust it. Trust your instincts. Trust where you're being led. even if it's not everything you've been taught, even if it's not everything you've been conditioned and, told by your parents in schools. It may be different where your heart leads you. And here's the last thing that I want to conclude with. All of these feelings, this anger, this bitterness, this feeling of isolation that can be there, what is all of those feelings coming from? Because here's the real point with Lilith. Lilith is angry at Adam. Yes, she is. But why is she angry at Adam? It's because her heart is broken. She's waiting outside of the garden for Adam to accept her back because her heart is broken. So trust your feelings and see them to their depth, because you may discover that there is actually a treasure waiting there for you. And once you rediscover that, a lot more things are going to make sense, and we're going to be feeling a lot more invigorated and a lot more strong to be able to do the work and build the things that we are here to do and build. So I'm wishing you the very best. Namaste.